Okay, it is March 12th. Can we call the Frank County Commission meeting to order?
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Present.
Commissioner Waymeyer?
Present.
Chair Harris?
President.
Vice Chair Metter?
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Present.
Have resolutions. Stay standing there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Nathan. I'd like to read from Psalm chapter 1. Blessed is the person who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his or her delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law this person meditates day and night. He or she is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. Let's pray. Oh Lord, I pray for a fruitfulness in this meeting and for a blessing upon these commissioners. Oh God, we look to you and say thank you for this opportunity. I pray that they will grow in their inability to be offended and their ability to listen well and to make decisions with strength for the sake of our county and to your glory, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Correspondence.
Yeah, Sharon Geis is here with Services for the Elderly. She had a conflict for when we're gonna do the other community partners, so she asked to come in early.
Morning, Sherry.
Thank you for accommodating me. I appreciate it very much. I hope you have in front of you or at least you have access to our application. I do need to make mention that I did make an error in that you all voted to give us 122.5 in this fiscal year, and I had made note that it was 120. So you'll want to correct that. That means that we are requesting for our operations an additional just under 3% for 2026. But we're also asking for a 20% match for a grant we've applied for a replacement vehicle. We have a 2014 Ford Eldorado that we have requested grant funding to replace in that vehicle, and I think that's spelled out for you in there, is expensive. I don't want to tell you the wrong amount, but 20% of that will be $27,500. A couple years ago, when we got 2 new vehicles, you were able to take funding from some other area in order to give us a one-time match. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to find some way to do that again. In addition, I mentioned to you that because we are private 501c3, we are not exempt from sales tax. A lot of the transportation districts, transportation providers around Kansas are under counties, so they are exempt, but we are not. So there has been a bill before the Kansas legislature to exempt us. I'm hoping that by 2026, when this funding will hopefully come through, we will be exempt. If not, we will have to pay an additional $13,000 in sales tax on that new vehicle. So any support you can give us on that bill, and I don't have the number for this year in front of me, but we certainly appreciate your support on that. We have some new board members, and today I have with me our chair and vice chair, Virginia Cook and Lewis Reed. We have some additional new board members this year. Nancy Burrows, Kathy Parsons, and Kathy Skeet have stepped up to serve on our board. Another change that has come about in our transportation provision is that we're part of a coordinated transportation district in this part of Kansas, and that district has hired what is called a mobility manager. This year, KDOT is paying for that. I think KDOT's going to pay for that position for 3 years. That mobility manager has the ability to help us when we have a client in Franklin County that needs to get to someplace outside our service area. We can work with that mobility manager and other transportation providers to get them from someplace in Franklin County to wherever they need to go. So that's been a nice addition and a big benefit for us as well. You will see that we have decreased our operating budget. We have, in the last several years, we have been reluctant to decrease our budget in particular on fuel. We did go ahead and decrease it for 2026. And Lord knows, I don't know if that's going to be accurate or not. We did see a slight reduction this year in insurance premiums because we had a couple of accidents fall off that affected our work comp and our liability insurance. So those were some savings that we had, and you'll see that when you look at our that page 9 under your application. Unfortunately, our benefits have skyrocketed, and we continue to try and get our wages up. Our starting wage for our drivers is still $12 an hour, and it can be very difficult to find anyone to take a position at that wage, as I'm sure you can understand. I can't think of anything else I need to bring to your attention or want to, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I might just point out, because I'm going, what kind of vehicle costs $150,000? I'm like, oh yeah, no way. This is like your people mover one. So
Yes.
how many people, what are they, 15 passenger or what?
They are not, and we are actually going to a smaller vehicle because the one we're replacing is a bus, and it has a wheelchair lift in it, and that lift is partly what makes it so incredibly expensive.
Sure.
But to replace it with a like vehicle was so expensive that we opted to step down a vehicle. So it will be slightly smaller than what we currently have, but also more fuel efficient. And I think to replace what we have was going to be in the range of $170,000. So I think the one we got is, that we hope to get is like 131, if I want to say.
137,500 is what it said. 137,500.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Cole.
Does it still have a wheelchair lift?
Yes.
So you still have that capability?
Yeah, all of our vehicles
Me too.
are handicapped accessible and can accommodate a wheelchair. They do not all have lifts on them. And when you have somebody in an electric wheelchair, you really kind of need that lift. But our small vans can accommodate a wheelchair. Any other questions?
I think we're good for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment?
Yes. Do you want to read the public comment, or do you want him to just come up?
Come on up.
Warren McGill,
Yeah.
please state your name and address.
Morning, my name is Warren McGill. I live at 2256 Haskell Road.
We'll wing it.
I'm here to talk about zoning regulations and the requirement to enforce them. Let me say that I support Franklin County's zoning regulations and building codes. I'm here to complain that the compliance is not being promoted and clear violations are not being prosecuted. Last spring, I contacted the building department regarding a structure being built at 1882 Louisiana Road. There was no footing or foundation. It was supported by used telephone poles, and when I called, it was near completion. With vinyl windows and residential doors and what appeared to be a carport, it looked like a dwelling. The building official advised he was not aware of the construction but would check into it. Days later, he advised me that he was told it was not a dwelling but a chicken house, so he issued them a permit. In January of this year, I made a CORA request for all documents related to construction at 1882 Louisiana Road. None were provided for this structure. No permit application, no record of one issued, no footing, framing, or electrical inspection, no record of any site visit. Yet the structure was completed, electrical installed, and someone has spent most of the winter living in this chicken house with no sign of chickens. This is a prohibited use of this structure and should be investigated. During the summer of last year, another much larger structure was started at the same address, supported by 20 or more used telephone poles. When this structure began to look like a much larger dwelling with vinyl windows, residential siding, and sheeted roof rafters, I contacted the building department again. He was not aware of this structure, but advised he would check into it as well. 7 days later, a permit was issued. In the same CORA request mentioned before, no record of the extent of construction without a permit was recorded. No record of a stop order issued, no demand for required construction documents, no record of a plan review, no record of compliance requirements issued, no contact information or qualification assessment for the individual doing the work, and no record of the structure being modified after a storm blew the roof off and an apartment with sliding glass door and a deck was added to the second floor. Of the documents that were provided from the file, one advised the owner that the structure does not qualify for an agricultural exemption, that the building was never inspected, and several undated photos that appear to be from last summer show the entire structure occupied with no record of an occupancy permit being issued. Since last summer, electricity appears to have been installed. The structure continues to be used. Work on it continues. If the second floor apartment were to be used as habitable space, it would be a life safety violation because it lacks proper separation. Enough is enough. This structure, with all its problems, depreciates the value of my property and is a nuisance that needs to be removed. And this is the photo I took.
You're at 1 minute, just so you know.
Okay. This is a picture I took just a couple of days ago. The zoning regulations establish the office of planning director and compel him to administer and enforce zoning regulations, building codes, and occupancies, and to conduct inspections of building structures and land uses to determine compliance. Furthermore, the zoning regulations state that you, the Board of County Commissioners, in addition to other remedies, may institute an injunction, a mandamus, or other appropriate actions or proceedings to prevent such unlawful erection, constructions, reconstructions, alterations, conversions, maintenance, or use, or to conduct or abate such violations to prevent the occupancy of such building or land. You must engage with the regulations, requirements, and duties you embraced when you adopted the zoning regulations to ensure that neighbors don't have to engage the legal process themselves.
That's your time.
Okay. I'll be here after the meeting. Anybody wants to talk about it? Thank you.
On the consent agenda, we could consider the approval of Franklin County Commission study session minutes, March 3rd. Consider approval of Franklin County Commission meetings of March 5th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Sotomayor?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Consider the approval of the 2025 annual noxious weed control plan. Peg?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I actually have the annual management plan, the annual control plan, and the 2024 annual eradication progress report. Do we want to do these all together, separately?
Go ahead and do them together.
Okay, all right. I'm here today because these need to be sent to the state by March 15th, which is a Saturday. It took us a while to compile some numbers, but we got it all together. It's just standard annual procedure. I really don't have anything else on that.
Hey, this is something we do every year. We can absolutely get into more depth if you would like, but we're here just seeking your approval of these items.
I'd make a motion to approve the 2025 annual noxious weed control plan, the 2024 eradication report, and the 2025 management plan.
Second?
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Thanks, Peg.
Okay. These do require commission signatures. I'll just leave them and
Yes.
guys can.
Do you have anything new that you are adding to your noxious weed?
Not really, no. It's pretty much following the same protocol as before. I can't think of anything new, really, yeah. One quick note here. Overhead door was at the transfer station last night. We have one side complete, and I'm not sure they didn't finish the other one last night, but I'm waiting to hear from them. So we're moving forward and hopefully got everything buttoned up. So, cool.
Thank you. Consider approval of special use permit 2501-0005 to construction and operation of mini storage.
Good morning, Commission. Yes, this is commonly known as 2880 Nebraska Road, located roughly 1 mile east of Ottawa, sitting on the south side of Marshall Road. The applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow the establishment of self-storage units along with covered RV and boat storage. As part of the start to the operation, there will be an office with a bathroom, which will be hooked up to on-site sanitation, one self-storage structure, and a single covered parking storage container. The applicant plans to expand over time as there's demand for it. Rural Water 2 will provide water. There are 4 pipelines present on the property, each with their individual setbacks. However, there is a potential that 2 of the pipelines will be decommissioned, which will then free up some more land for use in the future. Any new structures will need to be approved by Southern Star as to not move on to their easements or encroach upon during the building permit process. The entire facility will be fenced with a 24/7 access through an electric gate. Security cameras and lighting will be present. All lighting will be in a down-facing illumination as to prevent light pollution on neighboring properties. Initially, the plan is to have a single employee, but in the conditions, we allow the owner and then 2 additional employees. The following conditions were recommended as part of this SUP. The permit for construction of a boat and RV storage in addition will require any additional uses to amend the SUP. The operation is to be owner-operated and allow up to 2 additional employees. The applicant shall obtain all required building permits and meet all setbacks set forth in the zoning regulations. All structures will maintain all setbacks set forth by the pipeline easements. That all sanitation work will be completed under a licensed installer and in compliance with Franklin County environmental health regulations. Development of the site will meet all building, fire, and other applicable county and state codes and permits requirements. All driveway and off-street parking areas shall be maintained with all-weather, dust-free surface. The applicant is responsible for the application of dust control to ensure reduction of air pollutants to neighboring properties. That a sign with emergency contact information is placed in a highly visible location on the gate or fence. All security lighting will be arranged in a way to direct light away from adjoining and abutting properties and traveling public. Cameras to be installed for added security. Any and all signage will meet the requirements set forth in Article 22 of the Franklin County zoning regulations, and that the special use permit shall be null and void by operation of law if the special use permit has not been initiated and utilized by commencing the activity or the use at the specific site in said permit within 1 year of date of approval. One member of the public spoke in regards to wanting to know where the entrance will be located in relation to their own entrance. They did not state that they were against the SUP, but wanted to ensure that the entrance won't become a hindrance to their own property that sits just across the road and to the south. The applicant and the member of the public did trade phone numbers, and I believe they are working together to ensure both parties are satisfied. Discussion by Planning Commission was mostly limited to the need for screening at the entrance, and the location of the entrance was to be designated by the Planning Commission. However, a motion was then made without these two conditions being added. The vote was then tallied to 8 recommending approval, while 1 was against. It was stated that the individual who voted against wanted to mention that 2 already mentioned conditions be added to the list. The overall decision was to let the Public Works dictate where the entrance is to be located, and that extra screening was unnecessary. However, the applicant did later mention that they aren't against potentially adding some trees to the area of the entrance to beautify the entrance and to add natural screening. With that, staff and Planning Commission recommend approval.
On this map with the little, I don't know if that's aqua colored, is that where the facility, sorry, is gonna be located? Teal, aqua?
I believe that would be your floodplain map. Is that what you're looking at?
There's a whole bunch of maps.
No,
It's probably, it's down at the end, closer to the end, sorry.
Okay, let me-
it's page 10. Because you got to get past the pipelines, I guess, maybe. Yeah, up top it says approximate location of proposed storage
Okay,
units.
yeah, I guess if I read
It does say that.
it better. Sorry, it's the location. It
Okay.
says it on here.
Yes, got it.
So there's not a whole lot, because of the everything else and the pipelines and everything, there's not a whole lot more you can do. I mean, you always think right there by the highway, it'd be nice to have
Right.
something more than a
So
storage
that
facility,
is
but
something this property does have to compete with and contend with. Like I said, we may be decommissioning 2 of those pipelines, which will allow added room, but there is not a lot of commercial availability of what can go there. The use that we're looking at currently does help the situation due to the fact that we can still put drives and rock and use the area for storage, and then any other further development would include the Southern Star Pipeline's approval. But most of these properties along that interstate, they all have pipelines under them, and they all have to compete with that situation. We did initially want this property to be industrial, or the applicant requested it to be industrial. We were able to compensate with commercial because we never do see this as an industrial location. We want it to be more on the commercial side, if ever the availability to further develop. So that's why we're going through the special use permit rather than just doing industrial.
2 years back, we had a similar conversation on this parcel.
That's exactly what that conversation was, yes, sir.
Well, judging by the stipulations and conditions added, I think it's been well thought through and discussed, so I'd kind of be hesitant to add even more barriers.
Yes, sir. Anything else for me?
We need to vote on it, don't we?
There's a motion.
Guess I'll make a motion to pass. I don't know where the formal,
Special use
Motion
permit application 2501-0005 and the attached conditions, maybe?
yes.
All right,
Your second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre? Yes. Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Thanks, Matt. Consider approval of awarding a bid for the concrete lifting at the district court. Brandon?
Hi, good morning. Yeah, so we solicited bids for lifting the concrete of the slab that has sunk on the west end of District Court. And we've had a few conversations about this in the past. We had two companies bid on that. We had that bid opening yesterday. The low bid for that was Modern Foam Solutions at $19,444.92. Just to clarify really quick, so there's a few challenges with this project, and one of them was one of these offices has a specific flooring in it. It's not carpet. It was kind of a laminate, like that click together flooring that was put in a few years ago, and that has to be removed for this project. So we could not find any information on that floor to get an exact replacement back. So plugged into that bid is a number with an option that they came up with that looks similar. However, yesterday afternoon, at the very end of the day, I actually found a box of that flooring. So we now know exactly what needs to go down there, but it increases their price by $994.22. So that brings the total project for them to $20,439.14. The other thing is they are confident that they can get this done next week, which is really great. We had a really rare opportunity where we had a week where that end of the building is going to be empty, so we really wanted to capitalize on that. So they were able to commit to that. So with your approval, they'll start next week on this.
And will you guys have to do anything with it? Like I mean, it says they're gonna pull the carpet and the tile and whatnot. I didn't know if you guys are,
Yeah, so we will move all the furniture out. We'll be in charge of all of that. My staff will, and then there's a few unknowns as they lift this. There's probably going to be some cracking of the drywall in some areas, more than likely. We'll patch that up and take care of that. Potentially some windows could crack. That'll be another conversation we'll have to have with them. If that does happen, it's hopefully unlikely, but it could happen. So
do they cover stuff like that, or is that on us because it's a?
yeah, I asked that. So as part of the RFP, I put in there we had that conversation at the pre-bid too, to provide some allowances for some of these unknowns that might come up. So yeah, I believe that the windows and things. I told them that patching some drywall, that's simple. My guys can do that. Really not a big deal to do that if we have some cracks open up. So that will completely be on us, but anything bigger than that will be on them.
Okay.
One of them is ductwork is in the concrete, and there's a possibility that as they're putting this foam in there that it could break into that, and then we have blocked ductwork with this foam material. And so there is an allowance in there for that as well, to have somebody come in and clear that out.
Okay.
So hopefully that won't be needed, but it is included in the price. So if they don't end up needing that, they'll deduct that from the.
Okay.
What was that second amount, that 20,000?
$20,439.14.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for the approval with the addition?
When I came here 6 years ago, this was an issue. When we did our building tours, I know we were talking about that corner. And so the fact that we're actually getting something done about it is awesome. So I would make the motion to approve.
I'll second it. Oh,
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Abstain.
Commissioner Metter,
Yes.
Chair Harris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Staff reports.
Thanks, Rod. Brandon, you might keep your ears open here. District Court Stonework, we executed that agreement, sent it to the company, and we're waiting to hear back from a project manager, correct?
You said district court, but it is courthouse. Yes, we all know.
Historic courthouse, I'm sorry. And then jail elevator is done, right?
Yes,
So
finally.
that's- Yes, so we've certainly hit some milestones. Want to talk a little bit about the 26 budget. Janet and I are about to get rolling on that. Obviously, you just heard from our first community partner today. This certainly has the potential to be the most challenging year that you all have had when it comes to community partners, just because of what is happening at the federal level. Just want to take the opportunity early, and it's probably not the only time you're going to hear me say it, but you think about what we've done over the last decade, and starting with Colton, Don, and obviously the other three of you came on board. We have been finding efficiencies within the organization. We have been cutting staff. We have been asking department heads and elected officials to do more with less. To the county commissioners' credit, you guys have been amazing when it comes to wages and indulging staff. Nevertheless, we have all gotten on the same page and we're effectively managing through difficult times. It's easy to look at our financial situation and think, oh, we've got all of this money but at the staff level, I know we don't feel that way. Janet and I don't feel that way. We've worked really hard as a team to put us where we're at. And I just want the five of you to recognize that. It's tough. Like some of the situations that some of our partners are going to be in due to lack of federal funding, I understand. But we also hear from citizens all the time about their property taxes and money that we give outside of the organization, like that it's the same money that we're using internally for operations. So I would just urge the five of you to remember that as we get into this discussion, and please just understand my perspective. If I'm a little more vocal, I'm just doing it on behalf of our folks. And on some level, our taxpayers, because we're trying to keep the trend of our mill levy dropping. We're trying to keep doing that, but it is becoming more challenging. So I think that's all I have, Rod. Thank you.
Good. Hey. Pat. Brandon. Paul. All right, you got one.
Get out here too fast. Morning, Commissioners. Just a couple of things. Thanks to the great work of Jeff and Derek, we were able to submit a grant to Sharice David's office for $1.3 million for some road improvements. And so that's in her pipeline. So hopefully she'll pick that and submit that on forward to the Appropriations Committee for review next fall. So really appreciate the work that Jeff and Jason, I think, was it Jason? Justin. Jeff and Justin did the yeoman's work on that, so I tip a hat to them. But so we don't know, just, again, we don't know what's going to happen at the federal level, but my philosophy is to keep asking. And if there's money, hopefully we'll get it, and if it's not, it doesn't hurt to ask. We are focusing a lot now on workforce. We've got a luncheon today with some folks coming. I'm on the board at Kansas Works. And we've got a couple of folks coming, and they're presenting to a group out at prime time at lunch to talk about some on-the-job training and apprenticeships and some other opportunities. There's some funds available through Kansas Works that I'm hoping to allocate or get directed into Franklin County in some form or fashion. I'm going to be at a board meeting in Salina with the same group next week, and we'll continue to work on that. So that's kind of become a focal point of what we need to work on is workforce development, just to maintain, but also as we anticipate the growth. And that kind of goes along and hand in hand, as you can imagine, with housing and childcare. I've got a meeting later this month with a group on some childcare opportunities potentially. So we'll see where that goes. And then we continue to have quite a few other conversations with various developers on housing. So we'll just keep plugging away on that. And here in Wellsville are really the two hot places at this point. Also submitted 2 towns grants. Those are for towns under 5,000 in population. It's a state grant for up to $10,000. So we submitted one for Princeton for the roof on their community building. And we submitted one in Wellsville for upgrades and expansion of their sound system downtown. So hopefully we'll get some of those funds as well. So that's all I've got today, unless you have questions.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Sheriff?
Morning. Last Thursday, the county had an employee appreciation luncheon. I was not able to attend, but just on behalf of my staff, I want to say thank you. That is it's a very important event that takes place, and that time to get everybody together and realize that we're all, as Derek says, we're all working together. We're all one team, and so these type of things are very important to that, and very much appreciated by staff. So I wanted to send thank you to each of you for your guys' efforts on that. And I know that that Joanna and the HR ladies spend a lot of effort on that as well. So we appreciate what they were doing. The reason I was not able to be there is I was stuck out in D.C. Because of some weather. My plane got canceled, but I was out there on a Department of Justice working group. In law enforcement, one of the things that what we've talked about here in this organization as well has been employee wellness. And in law enforcement, administration does a pretty good job of taking care of staff, but we do a horrible job of taking care of ourselves. And so the idea was that this working group will help develop a program that can be rolled out nationwide to help law enforcement executives on a wellness type program. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to participate in that. And while I was away, it got really busy in the office. So I have a good undersheriff and really good staff. Our patrol commander, our detective sergeant, office manager, all those people came together and were able to do everything just like we always do. I'm very blessed to have good people working with me. So I appreciate that. And then the last thing I have is that the health check-in and blood pressure check stuff is going to happen today at 4:30 over in our office for county employees. So we'll hopefully see a bunch of people there and see really good numbers come up for everybody. There's no stress in life. So hopefully all those things will be good. But that's all I have. I was answer any questions that you guys may have for me.
I would just make a comment that it says a lot for the sheriff that we have, that when they have an initiative that they want to roll out, they invite you to be a part of the discussion process. And so not only do we appreciate you, but they appreciate you as well. So thank you for representing our county well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'll try to be brief. Paul, he thanked us, but I do want to thank him. He took our words and made them sound Paulish, I guess. So thank you for that. And hopefully we see some good out of that, but it was a good process for us to go through, and Jess and I both learned a lot. I spoke with you last week. Dust control is still a go. I spoke with Scott Wood. They are tentatively, weather permitting, going to be here. We close open application 1st of April, and they plan to be here the 3rd week in April. Now, that could be pushed back due to weather. Might be May, but we are on course right now to keep that going. I spoke with Hugh Bogle, the state engineer, over the phone. We will meet, Justin and I will meet with him out on the Texas Road Bridge project Monday at 1 o'clock. If everything goes as planned, thanks to your willingness to help me get these lines relocated. We should start Tuesday in the brush removal, and the letting is still planned to start May 1st. So I think we're on track to have that in on time, weather permitting, and as long as our equipment runs. Have you noticed there are several spots out in the county, so on our paved roads where we're seeing some frost boils, there's some water pumping, and we've been patching it over and over again. I've got 8 spots on a map here that I'll leave open. I think what I'd like to do is, with Derek's approval, ask for your permission to reach out to Kilo on some of these with all the work that we're doing to get at least a number on what that would cost. 3 of these are in the same location that we did chip seal on last year. So they're not going to be in the rotation anytime soon, but there's actually 8 spots throughout the county, and I'll show you the map on it. But if we can get those numbers, if we can't afford it, we'll have to just do it ourselves. But with all the things that we're doing right now, we're stretched just a little bit thin. But patching up is one of our primary things at the moment. I would appreciate the public's patience as we do this. We deal with it every year. The ground is coming around, so it's gonna help. So also on the gravel, we are working a little bit overtime, extra hours. So if you see those guys, if you can ride the crown while they're pulling this stuff back up, it sure helps to keep those shoulders tight as we're trying to get the roads reestablished on the secondary roads. I believe that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you. Janet? Commissioner Rubin?
I think it's important we do talk, like Derek was saying, and Mr. Waymire mentioned the other day, people got to realize that we're not here to cover for everybody's shortfall. And that's what a lot of this is about. It's about the federal shortfalls and the state shortfalls. Just like they're adding stuff to Janet's department every day that isn't budgeted, but yet she's required by law to do it. You know, that's what a lot of these entities are probably something they're required to do, and they can't get out of either, but we can't cover it all, what they're doing and what's happening. We attended the chamber meeting yesterday in Wellsville. I know they've got it in their deal, and I told them I'd help work with it. Janet gave an update, a very good update here last month before the chamber, what all the clerk does. And I told them that I'd help work with some of our department heads that maybe once or a couple times a year, we'd have one come up to the chamber and just go through health department or sheriff's department, ambulance department. And I think they were impressed by and just didn't realize how much those departments have to do or expected to do and try to do, you know. So the other thing, we do the program on the doctor suite every year. And I know what aggravates me more than anything on some of it, like we've had such a problem with Cerisa Lespedeza in the county, but yet we have the file, we're gonna take care of it, but yet we don't have the people to take care of it, even though we file, we're gonna take care of it. And that's not a begrudging on our people, they just not enough there to do it. But that's something, I guess I harp about it every year, but hopefully, you know, I know some of them, they do go out, and what they do, they mow back just far enough from the road that our inspectors can't see, but back in there 30 or 40, 50 feet behind the trees and the brush, it's just as bad as it ever has been. And it continues to keep coming back out again. So that's all I got. Oh, one thing, sorry. I would like to know personally if you can find out in the maintenance department or planning and zoning, what, next time we meet on something about, we're talking partnership on some kind of a building that houses site tourism for the Historical Society. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to know what their original investment was on the building that they have now. How much did they pay for it? How much do they have?
The current accessory building?
Yeah. What they invested the building, put it, you know, in the end.
Yeah. Yep.
We don't know. November.
I think they know.
I'm sure it's less and you can't do the
Yeah, it
same
was less, because
for
that was.
more. I understand that. But, still, I need would like to.
Sure.
Oh,
Just a thought heading into budget season again, kind of tying on to what Derek said, is that as local government, the only tool we are given to raise or lower revenue is property taxes. As an appreciable amount, there's no other way we can raise revenue. So I think two true statements come out of that. As a resource, it's overused, it's overutilized, not surprising, given it's the only tool we have. And other local governments rely on the same tool. And second, that there's an expectation from the public of us that we limit what we do to the core functions of county government. They want us to do only what we have to do, and they want us to do it well, and at an appropriate level, right? We're not trying to be our neighbors to the north. And then also to, limit property tax dollars again, within those parameters, just what's necessary. So, again, like I said a few weeks ago, we don't at all have the resources to fill the gap that can be left by larger government entities. So, sure.
Serena?
I guess I would just say, kind of along those same lines, what I learned was for the public to start watching meetings and just learn what everything does. I was surprised on how much everybody does when I first started watching, and you realize, oh, okay, there's a lot that goes on. But that's all I have.
All right.
I wanted to share, this was information that I had gotten at the last hospital meeting, and I had forgotten to share it. The Kansas Hospital Association had put out a survey about all the, and it was returned by 90 Kansas hospitals, so I would assume that that's most of them. 31 of them were county, 15 district, 5 city, and 28 private nonprofit. Out of those, 67% of those hospitals said that they got some kind of public support. Some of them, 45% from mill levies, 27% from sales tax, 3% from general obligation bonds. Just saying that to say that it is important for rural hospitals to stay open with the support that they get from the community itself. And Advent Health Ottawa was saying that, it is important. Those sales tax dollars are important to them. Last Thursday, we did have our employee appreciation event, one of my favorite days of the year. Truly, it is a time where we can come together as an organization, not as specific departments, where we can each come together. We give out some awards, but it's just spending time together. Derek gives us an overview of where the county is, where it's going. I really do love to have that day. Friday, there was a chamber coffee for Ottawa sanitation. They have some improved buildings, and sanitation is one of those things. It's like cleaning my house. You don't notice it if you do it. You only notice it if you don't do it. And so it's nice that they do it, and we have our trash picked up, and it doesn't get piled up like you hear in some large communities. And then I traveled to Topeka to go to the Heartland Works Board. This was the first one that was a combined board. So now our board stretches all the way from Liberal to Lawrence, which seemed like a very huge area. And you kind of thought, oh my gosh, are we going to get lost? But after talking to the new director, I think we all realized that maybe our unit was not fully utilizing all the resources that were available. We were leaving money on the table. Reports were maybe not getting done timely. And so I think probably it is a very good move for our area to be combined. I think it's going to be a lot of work for the new director, but I think in the long run, it's going to be a good move for the Heartland Works, and I think maybe there'll be things happening that weren't happening before. And so I'm looking forward to where it's going to go. Again, we have a retreat next week in Salina, so we'll be learning more about where we could be going. So And that's all I have.
I don't have anything. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Do I say aye?
Aye.
We're adjourned.